Not only am I talking to two of my favorite people on the planet, the first-time manager of the LA Angels, and next to him is his son Kai, who, aside from being a really good baseball player, is also my godson. Kai, would you rather hit a walk-off homer to win the World Series or strike out the last batter to win the World Series?
Walk-off homer.
Walk-off homer. I love it. Zook, what's something that you don't ever say to Kai after games?
We need to go hit some more, right? We need to do more. If he had a rough game, just explaining to him, reminding him how hard the game is, right? I think that's where I draw the line. It's like, it's not more. Sometimes when he has a game like that, I almost want him to not take a swing. He'll be like, I need to practice more. I was like, no. You're good. For a 12-year-old kid, it's not about working more. It's about understanding what happened.
The player who thinks, oh, there's more I need to do, that's never ending. I almost wonder, what are those kids chasing? Or what are the parents chasing when they think the answer is to go do more? That's a dangerous thing because there's never enough. So let me tell everybody why I believe today's episode is very special. So not only am I interviewing, I don't even want to call this an interview, by the way. It's more of just like a family gathering. But not only am I talking to two of my favorite people on the planet, okay, but we have somebody right here who is the manager, first-time manager of the LA Angels. And then next to him is his son Kai, who, aside from being a really good baseball player, is also my godson. And so I'm honored to have these two on the podcast. But what I want to, I guess, get into today, and for both of you guys to think about as you guys are answering questions, and because I know that you guys are these huge fans of my podcast, because you've already told me, obviously, everything that I do and everybody who I bring on, I want to make sure that I am giving something to the audience, right? So whether it's helping them in their own journey, if it's a family, helping them navigate that journey. So think about that as we're kind of going through this. Obviously, I want to know about your guys' specific journey, and Kai, to you especially. But think about it in the back of your mind, like, yeah, I wonder what I'm going through and how I could help some of these other people. So, okay, so let's get started, shall we?
Wait, we weren't starting?
We are now.
Okay.
I guess, Kai, so think about this. And most of the time, what I do is I have a question like this at the very end, okay? I do what's called like rapid fire. But because I want to kind of get you ready to go, it's like going to the cage before a game, right? And we're going to take some swings. So I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, and I just want you to shout out the very first thing that comes to mind. Okay, you ready?
Wait, is this like live?
No, it's not live.
Talking to the mic. It's not live.
It's not live. But here are my questions. All you got to do is just answer my question. Okay. All right. So number one, what's your favorite position to play?
Catcher.
Catcher. Good answer. Dad certainly approves. Number two, if your bat had a nickname, what would it be?
Laser.
I love it. What would yours be?
Emma.
I was going to say that.
I thought he was going to say that.
I love it. Okay, Kai, would you rather hit a walk-off homer to win the World Series or strike out the last batter to win the World Series?
Walk-off homer.
Walk-off homer. I love it. Not surprised, by the way, of course. I would say the same thing. And
Me
obviously,
too.
Zook, you've hit homers in the World Series. But okay. So number four, who is your favorite teammate of your dad's in the big leagues?
Patrick Sandoval.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They used to
Why?
go at
Tell
it.
us why.
I don't know. Because, like, we're close.
You're close? You got to know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when so that would have been, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah. 2021, 2022.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite player on the Braves that your dad was teammates with?
Andrew Ciarte.
Okay. And Ciarte. Nice. What about the Nationals?
Trey Turner.
Trey Turner. Okay. Some good names. I love it. All right. This one's going to make you laugh. What is one food a player should never eat before a game?
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Pigs after the mom.
Oh, I love it. We're not getting an endorsement now with McDonald's, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you were in the big leagues right now, what would your walkout song be?
Probably Me Named Junior Gong.
What is it?
Me Named Junior Gong.
How does it go? I've never heard this song. You want to give us a little?
No.
All right. We'll take that. Okay, if you could have any major league player swing for one game, who would it be?
Ronald Acuna.
Ronald Acuna. He's got a good one. Okay, almost done with you on this rapid fire questions, but you're doing a great job so far. If you would have been your dad's hitting coach, what's one piece of advice you would have given him?
Stay inside the ball.
Stay inside the ball. I love it. All right, 2 more. Would you rather hit off your dad, or would you rather strike him out?
Strike him out.
Okay. All right, last question, last rapid fire question. If baseball didn't exist, what would you be doing instead?
Probably soccer.
Soccer. Okay. All right. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. See? Piece of cake. All right, Zook, I got a question for you. When do you think, and maybe we'll get a little bit more serious now, obviously, but when do you think Kai first realized what it meant that his dad was a major league player? Like, oh, kids are, maybe it's the recognition from other kids. Like, oh, kids are telling me like my dad's a big leaguer. That's pretty cool. Like, how old do you think he was when he figured that out?
Probably the 2019. I think that was the first time that he was that involved. Like if we were losing, he was sad, like he knew the game. He knew the inning. He knew the score. He knew we were running out of time if it was the 7th and we were like, he knew the flow of the game. And he would be really sad when we lost. He'd be really happy when we won. Where when we was younger, it was like, hey, win or lose, he's just happy to be at the field.
Yeah.
And then probably 2019, maybe it's because we went so far. But I feel like that was the year that it was like distraught if we lost and extreme excitement when we won it. Obviously, when we won the World Series, it was like, actually, he was upset in the 7th before Howie hit that homer, like crying that we're going to lose the World Series. And then to like extreme excitement after we won, just like cheering and partying and hanging out with the guys.
Houston.
In Houston.
Yeah. I remember that.
On
I
the
was
field
there. Yeah.
and doing the dances and stuff.
Yep.
And he was,
So do you remember when that was for you? I don't mean the World Series, but like, is that around the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that like? Because the reason I ask this question is I feel like so many kids listening are probably thinking to themselves like, oh man, how cool is it to have a dad who's a Major League Baseball player? Because you are able to be in the clubhouse with them, right? You're like meeting Ronald Acuna and Ender Inciarte and, Patrick Sandoval and all these different guys. What was that like as a kid growing up with your dad being a Major League player?
Really cool.
It was?
Just thankful for everything.
Very nice. Do you remember, was there one moment that stands out as like the coolest?
Probably in the clubhouse.
Yeah. What about the clubhouse?
So in the Angels clubhouse, they put a snake in my dad's locker.
Shohei or
no, it's Dave Fletcher.
He put a snake in your locker?
A fake snake. And Shohei, it was Fletch and Shohei.
Yeah.
They put a fake snake and he was doing something at my locker on the chair with Eli. And then he turned around, he saw this snake and he like jumped. And they were all laughing. Shohei was laughing. Fletch was laughing. I think Alex Cobb might have been there laughing. And Brendan Marsh was there. So he had a good, he was.
How important is that, Zook? Obviously, you're a manager now. How important is it to have everybody kind of loosen up in the clubhouse?
I think it's huge. I was always a big advocate for having kids in the clubhouse at the right time, obviously. Yeah. But like when I was younger, it was like Matt Holliday's boys, Ethan and Jackson would be in the clubhouse, hanging out. And as you got older, having kids around, it kind of puts things into perspective in like seeing how happy they are around the clubhouse and how much they admire, big leaguers. Sure. And I think, we can get caught up in the results in this game so much that it tenses us up or tightens us up or makes us like overreact to something that might be a small thing. And then having kids around and, I just think it loosens up because at the end of the day, we're role models for these kids. Yeah. And having them around might take our minds off of something that would have given us like stress, that is unneeded stress, I guess, so to say. So I think having kids around loosens it up. And it's very important because it's a long season. It's a stressful season. It's a game of failure. So to have that lighter mood in the clubhouse, obviously at the right time, like I said, I feel like is very important.
Well, and Kai, for you too, and this is a question. Tell everybody how old you are, by the way.
12.
12 years old, obviously playing travel baseball, right? I can only imagine, and I've witnessed, having seen countless players play, the tense environment that you're talking about, even at the big league level. Like, you notice it even with these younger kids. Like, do you ever sense maybe that energy is tense out there on the field, like with your teammates sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
And so is there anything that you like to focus on or tell them to help them like calm down? Like, do you tell jokes, right? Like how do you guys remind yourselves, right? How do you remind yourselves to like not take it so seriously and just go have fun?
Or like dance in the clubhouse and the
Dancing in like the dugout?
I talked that one time you guys were dancing and then you guys scored all those runs.
Oh yeah. So we were playing a tournament. Were we down? We were losing, and then we started rallying, and I started dancing in the clubhouse and the
in the dugout,
and then we scored a lot of runs.
Nice. Yeah, and like, what does that tell you? You got to have fun, right? Sometimes when you're so tense and it's like life or death, you think, oh my gosh, if I don't get a hit here, like, oh, this is over. You're not going to show up performing your best. You're not going to be comfortable at the plate. You're not going to be comfortable on the mound, right?
Right.
Obviously, it's kind of funny, Zook, because you know, in the last couple of years, you've obviously been working for the Angels in the front office, but you've also been, you know, running this travel program. How has that been? Because on one side, you're dealing with the most stress, I'm sure, in baseball that exists, just working in the big leagues. And then on the other, you have something that is supposed to be so much fun, but is it crazy for me to say you're probably sensing even more stress?
Yeah.
With them?
I think you're like listening to him, you know, like honestly, like to be truthfully honest is sometimes I get caught up because of the time and effort that these boys put into practicing and how much they care. You as a coach, as a parent, you get caught up in wanting them to be so successful, you know, because the hours they put in, the hard work that they put in, you know, you want them to be successful. And sometimes you get caught up in stressing out and then it rubs off on them. And sometimes you have to take a step back. And honestly, I'm more stressed with them than I was when I played because I don't have control over like me going out there and doing what I know I'm supposed to do, right? Where they're learning what to do and we're teaching them, right? But, you know, I don't have control over them. Like I can't go up there and hit the ball for them or throw the ball for them or call, like, you know, like do the play. So it's almost more stressful, right? Dealing with that. But at the end of the day, win, lose, especially after a loss, right? 10 minutes after the game, they're distraught after because they're competitors. They work hard. And then they're kids, right? They're back at home playing video games with each other. And, you know, we go out to dinner or something with each other. And then they're kids. And I think that puts it into perspective of not saying that's how you need to be, but if you, the more you can keep that type of attitude where, hey, the game, yes, you're distraught after, but if you can let it go when you leave the clubhouse and just live a normal life and just be normal, I think it leads to more success because you'll be less stressed out. And I know it's easier said than done. And I've never managed before in the big league, so I don't know how it would be. But as a player, when I could do that, I was able to let it go and come home. And I think having kids definitely help with that because I come home, I got to be a father, right? I go in the backyard, I go swimming or I play catch with them or I do whatever, right? It makes life so much better just knowing that there's a lot more to sports, to baseball than the sport, right? There's family, friends, all this type of stuff that's kind of your consistent, you know, throughout your life.
Ty, do you remember anything that your dad has told you on the baseball field as a coach that's really helped?
Yeah.
What's something that he said?
When I was catching, he told me to like get on my toes more because I couldn't like move that much if I was on my heels.
You were on your heels maybe a little bit too much?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And getting on your toes, obviously, that visual helped you get on your toes, obviously, but it helped you move around better behind the plate. Nice.
Very coachable.
Is he?
Yeah. I got to be careful sometimes, too much information because he'll do literally everything that you say.
Yeah.
So you don't want to clog the brain. You just let him be an athlete. And then you see bits and pieces here and there, but like just coaching him and his teammates, to be honest, like the players that I have, they're all coachable and they all listen and they're all athletic and it's really fun.
That's good. Yeah, you have a good thing going on. I mean, for a lot of reasons. One of them, though, is I think your heart has been in the right place since you started. And, one may say, I don't know, maybe you had that benefit because you're able to do it. I think a lot of times some people get in the travel baseball world to make money, right?
Yes.
And so, all right, we have to have so many teams and we've got, this is a huge business and we've got to continue to, grow it. And you from the jump, it was just like, I want to coach my kids and I want to help these kids obviously get better. And I'm sure on some level I have something to provide to them that's going to help them do all that stuff. But I've seen you really go through the last couple of years where you're enjoying it. And it's funny I say that because so many other coaches that I know are like, I mean, they enjoy it, I guess, compared to what else they could be doing, but they need to be reminded also, like, why am I actually in this? Why am I doing this? As an agent, I think that's an important conversation, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's something that we all can remind ourselves of is like, I mean, we're only here one time and we've got to be aware, right? This is, I mean, here's what's funny is like, Kai, have you ever heard the term the good old days?
Yeah.
Right. And most adults, when we talk about the good old days, it's always like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, those were the good old days. And recently I have been trying to remind myself that like, no, to like the good old days is right now, wherever now is, just in the present. Because there's going to come a day where you're going to be like, oh man, remember when I was 12 years old playing travel baseball, playing for my dad, right? I wish I could go back and do that again. Yeah. You enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I love it. Kai, what's something about travel ball that you would say is hard? Is it the travel? Is it facing pitchers, let's just say, that maybe you've never seen before? What's the hardest thing you think?
Probably like, it's either the pitchers or like what they do after like they like strike someone out or like they hit home run.
They celebrate and you want to get after them a little bit, don't you? I love it. Hey, you're just like your dad.
But he gets mad because I tell him that's not how we act.
Yeah.
So we were doing the Easton photo shoot and they're like, all right, this last one, I want you to swing and we want to get you to pimp it. And it was probably the worst
pimp jobs
from all of them.
Because it was unnatural. They're like, we don't do this.
What? Because they know, they're like, we don't know how to do that. They're like, wait, what? It was kind of one of those things. It was pretty funny. But because that's something that, we teach and, we have fun. And then I'm not saying I don't like to say the word pimp a home run or whatever, but it's like you do it in a way where you're not showing the other team. Yeah, you throw your bat down and,
it's respect.
Yeah, it's respect. How would you feel, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's something that I believe. I want them to have fun, but at the same time, it's respecting your other team, respecting the game. And there's ways you can do it where you can still celebrate and do all the fun things about baseball and like let the kids play, have fun. But at the same time, I want them to understand the importance of respect and how to carry yourself on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, and I want to ask you a question about this, but I think, obviously I want people to have fun playing the game of baseball. I want him to have a blast playing baseball. But I think when you start to attach, fun is like showing up the other team, that is like, that's a lack of respect, right? And so there's a world in which you can have just as much fun by actually showing a level of respect. Celebrate all you want. It's like the movie Major League. Have you seen the movie Major League? Probably not.
No,
not yet.
I heard of it.
There's a scene in the movie where Willie Mays Hayes finds out he doesn't get cut from the team. And remember, he's like, go celebrate outside. So he literally goes outside to celebrate. And so there's always a time and a place to go celebrate. Just don't do it right after you hit the homer off the guy, like in his face, right? That's the message for me. All right, so Kai, here's my question for you. So I think everybody listening to this who doesn't have a dad who played in the big leagues is probably wondering, I wonder what his training schedule is like. Because if Kai's training schedule, again, looks a certain way, it's because his dad's making sure that he's doing all these various things. So not to set that up that you're doing a ton or not doing enough, but like, what's your schedule like? When do you hit? When do you go to practice? What does that look like?
Every day. But if I don't have practice, I probably like hit in the backyard or like throw.
How many swings are you taking?
100. 100?
About 100.
Are you like T-work?
Well, he's he's switch hitting. So it's,
So just both sides, like 100 each?
Yeah. No. Like total.
Okay, 100 total.
Yeah.
And so what's your thought process as you're hitting? Are you like, hey, I just want to loosen up. I want to get my, like, what are you thinking about when you're doing this?
I just clear my mind
Okay.
and just get the barrels of the ball.
Nice. I love it. You did good, man. So you do that for a period of time every day, no matter what, whether you have practice or not. What else are you doing in a a day? Is there anything else?
Like on the weekends?
Just what else is
Any
going
day.
on throughout
any
the
day.
week?
I probably like run outside or like play like basketball or soccer
Nice.
outside.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, I feel like so many parents, dads, who think, a 12-year-old, do more. They should be doing more. And the whole point is you want him to have a childhood.
Right.
You want him to go enjoy himself, right? Part of what this is for you is just being a kid. So I love that you're still going to go out there and like run around and play soccer and just do other things other than baseball. And the reality of this is, because I get a bunch of questions all the time where they're like, hey, my son is 8, and it's a very, very specific question. And part of my answer every time is always, let him just be a kid. Like at some point, nobody knows whether this kid is going to be a big leaguer or not until much later, right? Years and years later. And even in the best scenario where a kid is like showing everything that he's got everything it takes, but he's still only 17, he's never been drafted, and he's not in professional baseball yet, we still don't know.
Right.
And so the worst thing that any parent could do is say, we want to take his childhood away from him and just make him look like this robot. Like you're going to do him a disservice more than you're going to help him. So thank you for sharing your schedule. The whole point being is like, you're still a kid, right? And you're still having fun. You're having fun, right?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Zook. So this is for, I would say, a lot of the parents. How do you switch between dad and manager? Now, I know you're just kind of getting into the manager thing, but maybe when you're coaching, right? When you're coaching him, how do you switch between dad and coach? Because I think a lot of the listeners are these dads who also coach.
I think and this goes for both Major League and I feel like 12s, it's when we're not in it, we forget how hard the game is. And especially being 12 years old, they're still learning, right? And sometimes I have to take a step back too, because, I've been with them for 3 years, his team, and I almost expect them to know, like, what a bunt defense or where to go on a bunt play,
Right.
or pitcher got to cover first base on this play or whatever it is, right? Because we've taught them before. And we have to realize, like, I actually was going through this the other day. Today, I was talking to one of the parents, and I said, they're like, oh, we got to work on this. And I said, listen, they're 9. And the same thing that we are talking about, I actually just talked about this in minicamp, making sure these Major League Baseball players in spring training go through PowerPoint to understand where they have to be in a bunt defense, on a cut and relay, on a first and third defense, like where they have to be on these plays. And we're talking about the best players in the world. And we still have to go over it in spring training to make sure they know where to go, because, other than that, it's madness when you're doing the drill. Guys don't know where they're going, and it takes forever. So I think if I was to explain dad and coach, it's to realize that the game is hard. And I remind them that the game's really hard, and you have to understand that. And I say this in a way that is confusing to them, but they kind of starting to get it. It's when you're practicing, you're preparing, the fear of failure needs to light that fire when you're practicing, right? Like they hate failing. So when you're practicing, you're thinking about, I don't want to fail. I better put in more harder work, focus, effort, whatever it is. I said, but then when you go on the field, you can't be afraid to fail, right? And it's whatever they call it, oxymorons, right?
Yeah.
And I told them that the first time, they're like, huh. But then as I keep saying it, I keep repeating it, they start to understand that the practice is the focus and the pain and the sweat and all that stuff. And when you go in the game, it's go out there and play, right? All the preparation gets done at practice. And when you go in the game, they all look forward to games. It's fun. Games are fun, right? It shouldn't be, yeah, we coach a little bit, but when they go on the games, it's like, hey, man, go out there and show the fruits of your labor.
I love that.
You did. Like I said, it's easier said than done, but the more we can emphasize that to the kids, to the parents, coaching them, it's realizing how hard the game is and understanding that their preparation is going to allow them to go on the field when it's game time, and it's hey, Dad, when are we playing games? That's their fun,
Yeah.
right? Go let them play and go let them have fun and not have them really worry about anything but performing, you know?
What I love about what you just said is, and this is why I think you're going to be a really, really good big league manager, is we've all been around the game so long. I feel like I have heard every line that's been said. And so I've always thought about like, what makes a good manager and a bad manager, right? Like, and there's many things, right? I don't know the half of it, but there's many things. But the fact that you can take something that, by the way, is a very, very basic idea of, the practice is the time where let fear motivate you.
Yes.
But the game should be fun. But the way that you said that, like it clicked in my head. And to somebody who's 12, right? Like that is the lesson they need to learn. That is
Right.
what they need to hear. Because if you have a coach that's the opposite of that, where it's like they're going to put the fear of God in you in practice, but then also in a game, if you don't get a hit every single time, well, what do you think happens to the kid, right? Now the kid is trying to be perfect.
Right.
And now, of course, he's going to be hard on himself. Or if mom and dad is the one that's doing it after the game in the car on the way home,
Right.
what do you think you're creating within the kids? So I love that you're teaching these kids, like, go have fun in the game.
The games should be fun.
Yeah.
I think parents get caught up, like not to get going on this, but parents get caught up in the game's the most important part, right? Like, well, my son, like we talked about, my son needs to play this position, or why isn't he getting more reps at this position? When in actuality, let's say they're getting 1,000 reps at practice. Well, that's their reps. Like in the game, it's just you play, right? When you're at practice, that's where you're getting your, hey, I got to be here on this play. Hey, we're doing situational things. I got to be here, right? People think when you get reps, and don't get me wrong, the speed of the game during a real game is different in practice.
Yeah.
But like I always go back to what Kobe Bryant said, when at practice, he's taking 1,000 shots, right? So when he goes in the game, it's just another shot.
Yeah.
Right. And I know the stakes are heightened. The game might be on the line. But if you do it enough times, you get into that game and you are so confident because you've done it 1,000 times at practice that when you go in the game, it is just another shot with heightened stakes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just had this conversation. I've talked about it on the podcast. I asked a player, I said, what brings you confidence? Like, do you know what it is? Right. And I think everybody who hears that, they probably assume, like, do you know what brings you confidence, Kai? What?
Mental.
What about it?
You can like flip the switch when you're like ready.
Exactly. The reality is that what brings you confidence is something that you control. And the people that feel like, maybe unconsciously, that I'm not the one that brings confidence, it's I'm confident when something happens. And well, everybody's confident when they're 4 for 4 with 4 homers.
Right.
Right. But how are you in the World Series or in the most important game you've ever played when you're 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, but here's your next at bat?
Yes.
Right. And so what you just said, Kai, which I love, is you have the ability, right, to create the confidence within yourself. And it's not a shirt that you just try on that brings confidence. It's not, no, it's the way that you think about the work that you've put in. Right. And if people can recognize that it's the work that they're having, the work that they're putting in practice, that's ultimately bringing them that confidence. Perfect. Guy's going to be your assistant coach soon, man.
He is. He does good.
Okay. Zook, what's something that you don't ever say to Kai after games?
Well, I think we go over everything. What I try after games.
What's like a line you won't cross after a game?
It's probably we need to go hit some more.
Okay.
Right? We need to do more. Right? If he had a rough game, it's almost like just explaining to him, reminding him how hard the game is, right? But if you say you're 0 for 4, hey, we got to go to the cage and hit some more. Right? It's not you have to do more. I think that's where I draw the line. It's like it's not more, right? And there's almost sometimes when he has one game like that, I almost want him to not take a swing or not throw a ball or field a ground ball for days to almost forget how to do it. So then when we start, it's like you start fresh. He'll be like, I need to practice more. I was like, no. I was like, you're good.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not more. Like, I will never say we need to go do more after. You know how some parents are like, we're going to the cages. You just went 0 for 4. We got to go to the cages, hit for an hour. You know, which you do it in the major leagues. I've seen guys do it, but like for a 12-year-old kid, right? It's it's almost like I want them to forget almost how to hit because they're kids and they're so fast in learning that it's like, hey, forget it for a couple days and then we can come back and start again. And then his swing will be perfect because he'll forget and be mechanics. He'll forget mechanics and he'll just go up there and start hitting again. Like being an athlete, a super athletic kid, right? He has that luxury of he can forget and then come back 2 days later and then everything will be, where I think that's definitely a positive trait. I don't want him to lose. I want him to understand it's not about working more. It's about understanding what happened. I'll ask him like, "Hey, did you swing at strikes?" He'd be like, "No." I said, "Well, it's hard to hit the ball good if you swing at a bad pitch. So try to look at less mechanics and more mentality of the game." So I guess to answer your question, it's never, "Hey, let's go work some more." It's more breaking down the good and the bad, what he did in the game, staying away from we got to do more, because that's when they get burnt out, right?
Yeah.
Like if you had a bad game, you think he wants to go hit for another hour in the cage, like he's distraught. He wants to go play video games or he wants to go, hang out with his friends. Like that's what I preach. So like I draw a line of like, no, after a tough game, go hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it can also get dangerous, I feel like, too, because all of a sudden, the player who thinks, oh, there's more I need to do,
Yes.
that's never ending, right?
Right.
And you're like a mad scientist in the cage and you're never perfect,
Yes.
right? You hit 100 balls and then you top the last one and you're like, oh man, I got to keep going.
Right.
It's like a sickness in a sense.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting about that is I almost wonder, what are those kids chasing when they think, or what are the parents chasing when they think the answer is to go do more? There's more to do. Like that's a dangerous thing because there's never enough. There's always time in the day to be hitting more and doing more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important part of that whole, deal.
All right. So on an episode that I did with another client of mine, do you know who Zach Cole is with the Houston Astros? Yeah. You do?
No.
Debuted last year.
Outfielder?
Yeah. Your dad's going to know about him this year.
I will.
Did he sign?
You'll know him.
So he was on this podcast. The reason I'm bringing him up, and he said something that I felt like was profound, but also something that I want to pay his parents a compliment because he said, my parents never made me feel like my identity was baseball. They always did such a good job where they never treated me a certain way because if I went and had a great tournament, I wasn't better in their eyes, right? I was more than just a baseball player. And he had this comment, and this thing that he said is he says, baseball is what I do. It's not what I am, right? And I love that. And so when we talk about identity, and Kai, I guess this is a question to you. Do you ever feel like you're playing and sometimes you're like, oh, I want everybody to know how good I am? Or are you playing because you love the game?
I'm playing because I love the game, and it's it makes me more calm.
When you play because you love the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. Right. And that's, I'm sure on some level comes from you too, right? Because that's how you were.
Right. I want to, like the player, the kids, especially kids, right? I want them to understand that you need to be playing because you love the game. And I told him, as you get older and it becomes more of a business, you lose that because you're playing for financial security for your family, for the future, for your future kids, right? You're playing there's more at stake when you're a kid. And I say this like in the most respectful way. It's, what are we chasing? I tell them all the time, I'm like, what are you guys chasing? I said, you want a ring? I said, I want you guys to win rings also because it's fun for them, right? But I said, the real ring is when you make it to the major leagues. I said, that's the ring that you want to chase. I said, right now we're chasing fun, development, and definitely teaching them how to win. Like, I feel like it's like winning is a skill. Like I always tell them, right? I remind them that it's not what you do individually. Like you go 4 for 4 and the team loses. I said, your day is not a success. I said, you can go 0 for 4 and the team wins. I said, your day is a success. I said, you're measured by your team, And obviously as you get older in the big leagues and college and stuff, not so much, but as kids, if they can learn that at a young age and take that with them higher the higher they go. You don't have to be the most talented player to go to college or to get drafted or to make it to the major leagues. You don't have to have that special skill set. If you can understand what it takes to win and be a team player, you don't have to have that like ungodly talent, like, the Harpers and the Strasburgs. Like those guys are so talented and they're great teammates, which makes them even like, one in a million players on the planet,
Mhm.
But like if they can understand this, you could be a less talented player and make it very far in this game because you're doing things the right way and you're doing things that a lot of guys, coaches, front office guys love. And that's a winner.
Yeah. You were fortunate, obviously, to win a World Series, right? You won a College World Series. Kai, question for you, buddy.
Mhm.
You've obviously won, right? I've seen your rings and your pictures,
Yeah.
and you've also played really, really well.
Thank you.
Have you ever had a game that you struggled, but your team won? And what did that feel like compared to what he was talking about of maybe you having this great game, but you guys lost?
Yeah. I mean, I always think about like not about me all the time. So if I have like a bad game and the team wins, I'm happy. But if I go like 4 for 4 and like we lose, I won't be like
Yeah.
I just hit 4 for 4.
He will not be happy if he loses. It
Really?
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Because everybody
be
wants
happy.
to like go 4 for 4. When you experience that and lose, it almost feels like it reminds you of like how selfish it is. Of like, I'm celebrating because I did good. Maybe this other player didn't. And they're bummed out, maybe because we lost, but also because they didn't perform well. And here I am like celebrating it. Like it feels weird. And when you, and I get bummed out sometimes for guys because there are some players that I know who they've never actually been on a winning team, right? All throughout maybe high
Really
school.
good players.
Right. If I could think about one of the things that I've noticed from guys who are on these winning teams is it truly is this like selfless act where you have to figure out how to like, there is this organism, the team, and it needs something from everybody to like grow. And if everybody doesn't give it the thing that it needs to grow, you're not going to win. But if one guy does it, you're not going to win. If two guys do it, you're not going to win. You literally need everybody. And, you are on this World Series team. We've obviously talked about this before, but is there anything that comes to mind where it's like maybe this particular player, he wasn't the guy that was in the lineup every day. But let me tell you what this guy was doing, and like that added to the energy and the team camaraderie and like the confidence we had in order to win. Is there something that comes to mind like that?
100%. It's hard to be a superstar, in the major leagues at any level, right? In college and high school and major leagues, right? It's hard to be a superstar because everybody's counting on you, right? So I feel like when you have those special players, and I feel like to be on a winning, I'm not saying every time, but to be on a winning team, you have to have superstars, right? That are talented and can do that job of being the superstar. But you also need that supporting cast. And the supporting cast is just as important as a superstar, like you said, because if the superstars are there and you don't have a supporting cast, you're not going to win. Like you said, you've seen it happen, right? And vice versa. You can have all the supporting cast and not have the superstars, and you're not going to win. So you have to have that perfect blend. And I feel like a lot is luck because you don't know when it's going to mesh well to go to, win the World Series. But when you have that click, when it clicks and you have, the Strasburgs and the Scherzers and the Rendons and the Sotos and the Zimmermans and those type of players. And then you have, the older guys like, when I was there, Jan Gomes, Brian Dozier. And for me, like the most important one was the Howie Kendrick.
Mm.
And for me, that was probably, if not like my favorite teammate that I looked to as the guy that kept everyone together.
Why? What did he do?
He was the pro's pro, because everybody says that he's a pro, right? What's a pro? He held guys accountable. He made sure he did all his work. He came to the field wanting to help the team when he didn't play every day because he knew he couldn't. And he knew he would, whether he got hurt, he got hurt sometimes and stuff. But he came to the yard every day, ready to work. And it was something that even me being an older player and coming up with Howie, on a different team, obviously, but playing against him throughout my career, just watching how he went about it. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't the guy that made all these crazy, ridiculous plays. But at the end of the day, he was 2 for 4 with 2 ribbies, 3 for 4 with an RBI. Oh, he got a walk-off hit. Oh, he did this. And you're like, man, this guy is just amazing. But Howie Kendrick was, for me, the guy that I feel like, and if you ask Trey, if you ask Rendon, if you ask Strauss, if you ask all those guys, I promise you, they'll say the exact same thing. Howie is the guy, when he talks, you listen. Because he doesn't talk very often. He wasn't very loud. But when he talked, everybody was like, okay, we got to do this.
See how important that is? I love that story.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody would say, if they looked at that roster, oh, that guy was the guy that Zook was trying to be like.
Yeah.
Or the pro's pro, as you described.
Oh, man. I still talk to this Howie to this day, and he's definitely one of the, I think around the league, the players know that he's, obviously one of the most respected guys to ever play this game. But being able to be his teammate and see it on a daily basis for a couple years, I mean, incredible. Great person, great family guy too, with his boys.
Yeah.
Just everything about him,
Yeah.
was just great to have around.
Zook, is there anything that you, as a player, maybe you never figured it out? I guess what I'm trying to say is there something that you hope that maybe he figures out earlier than you ever did as a player?
Yeah, no. So everything I try to teach him, right? And he can explain to you the same thing, as what I teach them is the mistakes I made, right? Whether it's, he's very emotional, same as me. That was one of, I guess you can say, the knocks on me, is I wore my heart on my sleeve. People knew when I was frustrated or upset. And it was something that had to come with like, I guess, experience, with age.
Yeah.
Because as I got older, like, I still got upset, but I had to learn how to control it and funnel it in the right way, where that's what I'm trying to explain to him and the rest of the players. It's showing them, instead of pouting and then bringing your whole team down, like, channel that energy. Whether it's you get upset that you hit a bad hit, sprint as hard as you can down the line and get your energy out in the right way, where you can make a positive impact on a negative play, right? And it's a mistake that I made. I guess this is just one mistake. There's a ton of them that I teach them. And I tell them, I said, what I'm teaching you today is stuff that I made a mistake on. And I'm teaching you at 12 that I had to learn at 22.
Oh, yeah.
So like, and it's hard for them to understand now, because they're like, oh, what he's teaching me. And it's like, no, I want to teach you this now, because I wasn't fortunate enough until I was older. And, luckily I was in, professional baseball, but I had to learn you'll never stop learning. To my point is, what I'm trying to teach them is the mistakes that I made. So when they come up through the ranks of high school and all this stuff, they understand what a professional baseball player, the mistakes that I made. So I try to teach them so they don't make the same mistake. And I know they will. And I told them, I said, trust me, the game is going to force you to make these mistakes, because it's just part of failure.
Well, and Kai, this is a great little message, I guess, right here. Zook, how did you ever learn that something needed to change?
Doing it, making the mistake. Making the mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Kai, when something happens and maybe there's some failure involved, right?
Yeah.
We all know it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity now for you to learn this lesson. And we're all people. And oftentimes we could be told something 1,000 times. We got to go through it ourselves, and we've got to learn the mistake ourselves. It just happens. It's a reminder when it happens to be like, oh yeah, this is one of those moments. This is one of those moments where I have to, it doesn't feel good, but it's ultimately going to make me a better player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kai, what are your goals for this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Probably be a better teammate and to get better. And when we fail, it's probably like an opportunity to get way better.
You're
and
smart, man.
Motivation.
I love it.
So the next time you can be like, you're ready and you feel ready.
I love that. Zook, what are your goals for the year?
I would say not get fired, but no, honestly, like, I don't want to get too, like, obviously long-winded with these answers, but the opportunity that I have in front of me doesn't get, I'd say not a lot of guys. I think that's even making it an understatement, right? Not a lot of people get this opportunity to manage a Major League Baseball club. And my goals is to really, I love teaching, right? I love coaching. Like that's one of the things that I loved. Even when I was playing, I feel like I was a coach, right? So I guess my goal is to always help the players get better. And I can't control if we're going to make the playoffs or how many games we're going to win. Yeah, we have a young team. We have some talent on the roster. The only thing that I can control is to help the players get better. And if me, my coaching staff, if we can do that, I deem the year a success. Whatever happens. Like if they're not happy with what we do, like that's fine, right? But our goal in the beginning of the year set out is to prepare the players for games and to help them get better every single day. And if we can make an impact on these guys like this and to help set them up for the future being a younger team, that really is my goal, to help the players get to a point where they feel like they've improved, whether it's offense, whether it's defense, whether it's mentality and learning how to fail. If you did have a not your best year, but you learned how to handle failure in the right way and picked up some things to become a better baseball player in the future, that's our goal, right? It's in a game of numbers, in a game of the StatCast era and all these type of things, right? We get caught up in these things instead of what's baseball, right? Baseball is a game of failure. Baseball is trying to improve every single day. And like you said, right? What are we chasing, right? Yeah, we're chasing rings and we're chasing all these things, right? But for me, if we can keep it simple, just like how I teach them, and I tell them this, I said, I tell my major league players the exact same things I tell you guys. Chase improvement every single day because they're talented enough that if they improve every single day, who knows where the limit is, right? Who knows how many games we're going to win? If they each come to the yard every single day with the mindset of, I'm going to get better, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the bullpen, whether it's in batting practice. If we can just focus on improving every single day, let's see where we are at the end of the year. And we might not be where we think we should have been. That's the hardest thing to do is having that mindset when you're 0 for 4, like I don't want it to be a grind. I want it to be an enjoyment knowing, okay, I'm going to work on this today to get better.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I looked at it. I wasn't the best player. I've had some really rough seasons and I learned from that. And when I got to towards the end, when, we won the World Series, I had some good years in Atlanta, Washington and stuff. I was excited to come to the park every single day and improve. And I was there to enjoy myself, have a good time, and just let the results be the results. But my preparation and all that stuff was just something that I focused on. I wasn't focused on the results.
Yeah. I was told this many times, but I think it was like Joe Morgan during like the Big Red Machine was asked the question like, what makes a winning World Series team? And he said something to the effect of a World Series team is when you have a bunch of players having their like career year during the same year, right? And what's interesting about what I'm hearing you say, because I do agree with everything that you've said about it, is if you think about winning more as a byproduct of doing other things well, I feel like it would take so much pressure off of, oh man, I've got to go out there today and do this thing, right? Because that, whatever that thing is, I've got to get a homer, I've got to like get a knock. Everybody in the big leagues, and you know this, they all want to perform the best they possibly can. Like it's so personally focused that how can you make all of that stuff interconnected and a byproduct of doing like the fundamental controllable things at the highest possible level? Things that you literally he'd been doing since he's, your age.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, you guys have been doing this literally since you were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yes.
The same thing. So how do we do that at the highest level really well? And then everything else is a byproduct of it.
Right.
Right? It just simplifies. It's like, oh, okay. Because part of that is also being a good teammate, working hard, showing up on time, being a man of your word, doing what you say you're going to do. Right? All of that stuff.
I think a great example is, and I've shared this with them, is the Indiana football team.
Yeah.
The Hoosiers, right? I mean, last year they talked about them as a Cinderella story, right? And this year they're undefeated, won the national championship. I was like, Okay, it's not a Cinderella story. So why? And you see all these interviews, and you listen to the interviews that the coach Signetti talks about, right? And we talked about this with my staff, with the front office. It's what are they like? What's the special sauce? Like, there's
Right.
got to be a secret. I mean, you go from a losing season to making the college football playoff and then winning the national championship the following year. It's like there's got to be a secret sauce. Are they getting transfers? What are they doing? And it was funny when you hear his interview. It was, we do the fundamentals really, really well. They make the fewest penalties, right? The fewest drop catches. They never do any trick plays. They just play the game how the game should be played. They don't try to reinvent the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think something to take away off that is like what you exactly just said. It's how can we do the fundamental things that we did when we're 12 years old and do it at the big league level and do it really, really well, right? Because at the end of the day, your margin for error becomes smaller when you get into that level of major leagues. It's the margin for error. You have to be almost perfect with the things that you did when you were 12 years old.
Yeah.
And people forget about the things that we did when we were 12 because we're chasing homers.
Yeah, you're playing a different game in the big leagues, you think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're like, the pitchers are trying to light up the radar gun instead of, I'm just going to execute a perfectly placed fastball in a good spot. Or I'm going to execute my off-speed pitch. Or I'm not just going to try to throw this hard. I have a reason why I'm throwing this pitch. Or, okay, this bunt defense, I know this is my job. I've done it 100 times. I'm going to do it again. And just get an out.
Yeah.
Just get an out. Don't have to do anything fancy.
Well, and I think the backbone of everything, funny enough, is we talked about confidence earlier, is it's the belief in Signetti. He knew they were going to win. Like, he believed it.
Right.
And if he didn't believe it, all the other things may have been true. But maybe Mendoza's having a conversation. He's like, he kind of sounds like he's surprised we're here. And then maybe he starts to feel like, oh yeah, if he's surprised, then I should be surprised.
Right.
But instead, Signetti was the one who's, no, we're winning. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Right. And so for you, I feel like that is such an important thing is if you're not going to believe it, then why should anybody else?
Right.
Right. And so I don't care if you guys are 0-10 with 10 losses in the last 10 games, doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything.
Exactly.
Right. And just like individual players is if you don't believe that you're going to go out there and have success, well, the game's not going to just let you have success.
Right.
Right.
I try to tell them, you're not playing against the other team.
Yeah.
Right? You're playing against yourself. Can you execute? Can you execute a play on defense? Can you execute the play on offense? Can you execute a pitch? Right? If you don't execute, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You're going to lose. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you're executing it against yourself and knowing like my execution is against myself, I'm not playing against Aaron Judge or I'm not playing against Max Scherzer, facing Max Scherzer, right? No, I'm getting my pitch that I'm my strong suit and I'm executing my swing on it and the results take care of itself, right? But if you start worrying about like, I gotta beat this guy or I gotta do this, then you lose track of what you're trying to do. If you just do what you do, again, I said, play against yourself because we play against some big boys and they're always the smaller ones. I said, that's fine. I said, just worry about what you can control. And that's with yourself. I said, you guys beat yourself, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter if it's the number one team in the country or the last place team in the country. If you fail to execute, you're going to lose.
Yeah. Last two questions, and they're not coming from me. Kai, is there a question that you want to ask your dad on this podcast that you think you'd like other people to hear his answer?
Well, what did you have to do to get to the College World Series?
There you go.
A good one. There's
what's the first thing that comes to mind that like stands out as
adversity, overcoming adversity. We started 15-16 that year, and we were on track to be the worst team in Fullerton history, and we had to overcome that, and we had to do it together as a team, and it wasn't easy, and it's something that I always tell guys it was very similar to my nationals team. We overcoming that start of 19-31. We were 15-16, right? But how can you overcome that? You got to pull together. You pull together as a group and you fight together. Instead of guys could have easily, I'm just going to do this because I'm getting drafted. I just got to worry about myself. And then you lose it, right? But if you come together and you pull for one goal, and that's the year I got drafted, right? So it's like, if I went off to myself, who knows how good of a year, but I did it together with my teammates And I feel like they had a huge impact on my success because we did it together as a group instead of everybody just going their separate ways because we were 15 and 16. We just gave up, right?
Yeah.
We came together. We overcame adversity. Our motto that year was think how good it's going to feel. Everybody writing us off. Think how good it's going to feel. If you looked at the replay of the College World Series, that game, Ken Revisa, there's a piece of tape in the dugout of athletic tape, and it said, think how good it's going to feel. We wrote that in every single day, and we looked at it. Think how good it's going to feel when we do reach that top after where we started. So,
I love it. What's a question that you want to ask him?
Ooh.
And this is the last question of the podcast. Make it a good one.
What do you think success is?
Success is like,
there's no wrong answer. That's the beauty. It's whatever
you think success is.
Success is maybe like you do a good thing in life and you like, let's say like if you had a bad game, for example, and you wanted success, you had to overcome that and then think about how hard you worked to get that success and it'll feel good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I love it.
Hard work.
That's good, buddy.
Taught you well, buddy.
Guys, I appreciate it. I love you both. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you nervous still?
No.
Tell Uncle Maddie, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, I appreciate everybody for joining us. Hopefully everybody is one step closer to being a stronger player or a stronger family. So thanks, guys.
Perfect. Thanks, Bubboos.